Hello everybody and welcome to the 8th round of the 1993 season for the French Grand Prix here on F1 Challenge. We head to the purpose-built Nevers Magny-Cours circuit, a track that is relatively new to the calendar, hosting its first race only in 1991. If you missed the last episode at the Canadian Grand Prix, make sure to go and check that one out before watching this one. It was a very chaotic race for many drivers with mistakes aplenty between the nearby barriers. Going into this round, Damon Hill's third victory of the season means that he retakes the lead of the Drivers' Championship by 2 points over teammate Alain Prost. The three-time champion will be looking to bounce back at his home Grand Prix once again and hold the advantage. Ayrton Senna has had consecutive non-points finishes, meaning that his title chances are beginning to slip away. The Brazilian now sits 20 points behind the Briton and 18 behind his former teammate. Despite a decent result in Canada, we moved down to 15th place in the standings, 2 places ahead of my teammate Philippe Alliot. Meanwhile, in the Constructors, Williams have a stranglehold on the championship, holding a substantial 56-point lead over McLaren. Benetton's strong result at Montreal lifts them into third, just ahead of Ferrari. The Roos maintain their 9th position while still being level on points with Sauber. This weekend is the team's home weekend, with expectations heightened going into this Grand Prix. We need to achieve a top 13 in the qualifying, with the race objective finishing inside the top 9. Now, let's head into the news of the week. Hello and welcome to the French edition of the News of the Week, where we start off with the breaking news of Alain Prost. The Frenchman has announced his retirement from the sport after a long and illustrious 13-year-long career, winning with many of the top names in the sport such as Renault, McLaren, Ferrari and Williams. The three-time champion has often been known for his mental fortitude and world-class racecraft. Many news outlets have speculated on whether the announcement of Ayrton Senna to Williams was a contributing factor, but Prost has dismissed these claims. Prost's focus is entirely within this 1993 season, stating that this was always the plan for me. I hope I can end the season strong and beat Damon this season to win this championship. Pacific Grand Prix announced their entrance into the 1994 season. The British outfit is very well known for its Junior Series pedigree, with silverware following them up the motorsport ladder. Drivers such as Christian Fittipaldi, Eddie Irvine and Jyrki Järveläinen have found success with the team in prior seasons. Many names have been linked to a move to the team, but none have been officially confirmed. Keeping on the topic of Jyrki Järveläinen, who will receive a 5-place grid penalty for the French Grand Prix in Magny-Cours. Läito was involved in a slew of incidents throughout the race, including with his Sauber teammate Carl Wendlinger. The Finn found himself on the receiving end of poor results as of late, and team boss Peter Sauber has grown visibly frustrated with the Finn. Sauber said to a German media outlet that the pace of Jyrki is certainly there, but too many times this season he has cost the team of a good result. He certainly needs to up his game in the upcoming rounds if he wants to be in contention to keep his seat for 1994. Other teams are allegedly interested in Järveläinen's services for next season, with teams such as Ligier, Footwork and Larousse looking at his availability. Rubens Barrichello will also incur a 5-place grid penalty for the upcoming French Grand Prix. The young Brazilian crashed into the back of Derek Warwick's Footwork when entering the pits for a stop at last week's Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal, causing the Briton to retire. Whilst Barrichello did carry on, his race would only last an extra lap with his Hart power plant expiring. Given this penalty on a track that is not well known for its easiness to overtake other drivers, will put Rubens Barrichello on the back foot before the weekend even begins. Onto the upgrades now, where McLaren introduced new front and rear wings to help with drag reduction. The British team has struggled as of late, scoring no points in the past 2 races and will be desperate to get their season back on track. Jordan brings yet another upgrade package, shaving off weight from their car to help with the responsiveness of turning due to better balance. This should help through the high-speed chicanes at Magny-Cours. Their last set of upgrades didn't see them make their way further up the order, so they shall be hoping that the new adjustments will give them that extra couple of tenths that the team needs. Footwork have been on the fringe of the points at several points during this season and have discovered a breakthrough with their diffuser. This new design should massively increase downforce as their drivers attempt to grab their first points of the year. Minardi's upward trajectory has been halted in the past couple of rounds and will be expecting to score more points with a new rear wing giving them more downforce. That's all for the news of the week. Now let's head into qualifying. Hello and welcome to qualifying day for the French Grand Prix. A very hot French Grand Prix that is. The temperatures are once again very high, almost 40 degrees Celsius. They're so hot in fact that we've decided to go for single runs in the qualifying session rather than doing 2 laps in a row. As we head out of the pit lane for the first time, we went straight out on the track because I thought it's only going to get hotter with more cars out there, so we might as well see if we can get maybe some slightly cooler conditions as they're starting the first lap. We almost lost the rear end coming out of the final corner. But yeah, this car and this track combination is very nice to drive. With such a high amount of downforce, it makes it so nice to get through the high-speed corners, such as the chicanes. They're almost, if not completely flat in qualifying, and the Turn 2 section is also very nice to drive. The first run then, we'll find ourselves 7/10 off the pace of Rubens Barrichello. Alain Prost though very quickly taking top position as he so often does in qualifying. A 1:13.5 will probably not be achieving those sort of times today, but if we can get within maybe a second and a half of that, it'll be a decent time maybe. As that's a rear end loss going into the hairpin. I was trying to brake extremely late. It did end up paying off because we did actually get the turn-in that we needed for the hairpin as well, and that's a very decent improvement indeed. A 1:15.4 takes us to 16th place, but by the time we start our third lap, which is about 15 minutes to go, we've been shuffled down to 20th place. So we do need still yet another improvement, a sizable improvement at that, to get ourselves into that position where we can complete our qualifying objective. Less than a tenth up though through the first 2 sectors. We're actually down through the first sector, so we're almost up by 2/10 in the second section, so there's definitely time to find in the final run. But that's a very good final chicane, rounding the final corner for the final time. It's a 1:15.0. So that's, what, almost half a second improvement alone in the final sector, and it fetches us up to 14th place as we now begin our final lap in the qualifying session. So despite being up in the first 2 sectors, the little snap of oversteer that we got over the first part of the final chicane cost us any chance of improving on our position, and we will be 14th place. There are drivers around us though with grid penalties, and there's not much left in the session, and we'll see where we start on the starting grid as we now head into the race. Hello and welcome to race day for the French Grand Prix, where once again we see that home driver Alain Prost takes pole position 3.5 tenths ahead of his teammate Damon Hill. Williams looking strong as ever with Michael Schumacher completing the top 3, just missing out on starting on the front row. Ayrton Senna really struggled in that qualifying session, but a very strong lap right at the end of the session sees the Brazilian line up 4th ahead of the first Ligier of Martin Brundle. Car 6 starts in 6th, Riccardo Patrese that is, in the 2nd Benetton ahead of the 2 Ferraris who lock out the 4th row. Mark Blundell and Johnny Herbert complete the top 10 with a strong qualifying once again from Derek Warwick in 11th. The first Jordan of Eddie Irvine completes row 6 with an All the Roos 7th row of myself and Philippe Alliot completing that qualifying objective. Carl Wendlinger sets off in the top 15 with Rubens Barrichello having a 5-place grid penalty going down to 16th position. Christian Fittipaldi in the first Minardi starts from 17th with once again Zanardi struggling to match the pace of his teammate in the second Lotus. Michael Andretti, a very lowly qualifying from him, starts from 19th with the Guri Suzuki completing the top 20. Yuki Yavaleto with a 5-place grid penalty starts from 21st ahead of the 2 Tyrrells of Ukio Katayama and Andrea De Cesaris. Another qualifying struggle there for Fabrizio Barbazza, 24th only for the Minardi driver. And once again, Ivan Capelli, 2 races in a row now that he has outqualified his teammate Luca Badoa. 2-stop strategy we're doing in today's race, starting on a 27-lap fuel load and then going to lap 45 for our second stop. As we now await the lights, 72 laps ahead of the drivers for the 1993 French Grand Prix. The lights are green and there's racing to be seen. We've been hit up the rear. That's a Benetton that's also stalled as we head in towards turn 1, looking down the inside of Eddie Irvine. Oh, we've got no rear wing. We've gone completely across the Jordan there and we've gone slamming straight into the barriers, and that's going to be us out of this race already. A very premature retirement for us indeed. Riccardo Patrese is also out of the race, and that is an absolute shame for us at the team's home race. Let's get a replay of what happened. So it was Carl Wendlinger that just completely drove into the back of us there. Maybe he was unsighted by us getting such a poor start, and then I didn't realise that we didn't have a rear wing at that point, and I just went sliding straight across the front nose of Eddie Irvine. I think he's still in the race though, so he should be fine to carry on. There's Riccardo Patrese stalling on the grid and seeing everyone soar past him, and it's not a good sight for him to see. On board here with Carl Wendlinger, see what he saw. He didn't really do much to avoid it, but it's more of a opening start collision, so we'll see what the FIA have to think about that. There was contact between Eddie Irvine and Carl Wendlinger, and Eddie Irvine's actually lost his rear wing in that contact. As here we see Christian Fittipaldi later on in the lap trying to get down the inside of my teammate Philippe Alliot. He's lost the rear of the car, as has Philippe Alliot, and that's chaos behind. Oh, that's one of the Minardi. That has to be Fabrizio Barbazza with a massive crash, it looked like, on the replays. Let's see what happened. He completely avoided the yellow flags, just went straight into it. Somehow his Minardi's still going, and it looked like a bunch of other cars started spinning in sympathy. Look at all the cars. There's maybe 8 cars all off at the same corner. Everyone off at the same place, and it's been called as a red flag, the first red flag of the season, which means that we'll have a second chance, as the leaders have not begun their second lap. We'll all restart and we'll all get a second chance at this start. We're in the spare car now, and we do get a second bite at the cherry. Now, unfortunately, this is essentially a replay of the formation lap for editing purposes. Unfortunately, the recording got corrupted. So we only have replays for this rest of the race, as we now await the lights for the second time. The 1993 French Grand Prix is underway. The lights are green, there's racing to be seen, and Alain Prost has got a good start ahead of his teammate Damon Hill. He takes the advantage in towards the second turn of the long right-hander. Ayrton Senna there has gotten past Michael Schumacher in that battle for third place. Martin Brundle's also looking racy on the start. He's possibly looking to try and get in the slipstream of Michael Schumacher to get his way up into fourth place, as there we see Damon Hill looking down the inside of his teammate Alain Prost into the Adelaide hairpin. He can't quite get through, as we get a replay of what happened on our start. It was a fairly poor start again. Philippe Alliot got straight back past us, and there's Rubens Barrichello down the order. He started 3 places behind us, so he's had a brilliant start there. As we try and fend him off through the second turn, we do so. That's Eddie Irvine going wide. Maybe my teammate Philippe Alliot can have a run at him. He doesn't have great straight line speed, nor does my car. We are a bit down on the straight line. Rubens Barrichello trying to look down the inside in towards the second... no, not the second turn. Is it turn 3 or turn 4? I'm not entirely sure. As now we see on board with Carl Wendlinger. Karma does indeed pay Carl Wendlinger a visit. He stalls on the grid, and he is going to be the first retirement of this Grand Prix. On board with Andrea de Cesaris down towards the hairpin. I believe there was a bit of chaos down behind us. And oh, that's the 2 Tyrrells. Absolute disaster for the 2 Tyrrells. Both of them out of the race. Andrea de Cesaris completely unaware of the situation he was in, as there's Michael Andretti getting on the gravel, and that's a very loose moment there for the McLaren. A good save from the American, as now we see at the start of lap 2 Alain Prost leads the way ahead of his teammate Damon Hill. Ayrton Senna though is looking very racy on this start. Michael Schumacher sets off from 4th ahead of Martin Brundle and Riccardo Patrese. As Carl Wendlinger has not given a penalty for the incident with me, but Fabrizio Barbazza has been given a penalty, as has Andrea de Cesaris for his contact with his teammate. As we see on board with Philippe Alliot getting very close to the back of my teammate. I believe he's on a very heavy fuel load on a possible one-stop strategy. As now we begin lap 3, and we're all over the back of my teammate in towards the hairpin. We can't quite make a move there, but a good exit out of the hairpin, and we could set this move up through the chicane. We do have quite a high downforce setup, and as such we get alongside and then ahead into the 180 turn of my teammate Philippe Alliot, and that's us up into 13th position once again. So back up to my starting place, on board once again with Michael Andretti. He's trying to get past one of the Minardis, and he's caught a lot of the gravel there, and that's Michael Andretti spinning straight off. And he has got now a lot to recover. It's an absolute nightmare start for the American. He's now in dead last of the running order, and he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to make up any form of a decent result. So you can see by the end of lap 4, we're already starting to be dropped by Eddie Irvine behind. And you can see even further back, my teammate Philippe Alliot, I've started dropping him at a rate of about a second a lap. So we are kind of just being put into no man's land already at the start of this race. Rubens Barrichello a couple of laps later on the back of my teammate Philippe Alliot. Through the chicane, he's caught a lot of gravel there, and that's Barrichello spinning. Fortunately, he's kept it out of the barriers for now, and the Jordan will be able to carry on, but his nightmare weekend with the grid penalty has continued. He's all the way down in the fringes of the top 20 now, as Aguri Suzuki had a terrible start to the race, and he loses the rear end trying to overtake one of the Scuderia Italia's. Michael Andretti will say thank you very much, and he'll make his way up ahead of the footwork. Yuki Arvoleto meanwhile trying to get past, I believe that's Fabrizio Barbazza, lap 14, and the Sauber drivers really trying to make the difference up with after his grid penalty, and he does so by getting past the Minardi. Fabrizio Barbazza though possibly looking towards the inside, is not alongside enough though to try and make a move, as on lap 14 you can see that Ayrton Senna is doing a great job of keeping touch with the 2 Williams cars. You can see as well he's also lapped his teammate almost at the end of lap 14, and there's a reason why the Brazilian is quick. He's on a light fuel load. It is into the pits on the end of lap 14 until, oh, that's Ayrton Senna into the wall, and he's out of this race. 3 races in a row where Ayrton Senna is not going to score points. It seems like, I don't know, some sort of failure with his car, and he is going to be out of this race. A huge scalp in the championship. And it's almost certain now that he is not going to take the fight to the Williams for the rest of the season. Lap 15, just a lap after Yuki Arvoleto got past Fabrizio Barbazza, and Alessandro Zanardi's looking all over the back of the Minardi, and he makes his way through ahead there of the Minardi, of course, yep. and he's now up into 15th place. Johnny Herbert had a brilliant start to this race. He's up in 7th place, but on lap 17 he's into the box, possibly on a 3-stop strategy by boxing that early. Makes his way into the box. As there we see Eddie Irvine, who was the car in front of us, gets past Johnny Herbert, and there is us eventually coming round the final corner, and we do get the place ahead of Johnny Herbert. Herbert does come out quite a few seconds behind, and we're up into 11th place now. As on the same lap, Alain Prost is into the box for his first stop of the race, possibly indicating a 3-stop strategy, and as such Damon Hill on that longer first stint will take the lead of the French Grand Prix. Lap 18, and Derek Warwick is looking very good in this race so far. He's currently riding in the points. You can see there, that's Mark Blundell and Riccardo Patrese who have just stopped behind him, but Derek Warwick is in for his first stop of the race. He's possibly also on a 3-stop strategy in this Grand Prix. So yeah, the recording, I don't actually know what happened. It just wasn't there when I pressed finish recording. So yeah, I have to do it a bit different today. Maybe you guys like it, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I was thinking about maybe re-recording the race, but I thought I could still make something use of this, as there's Gerhard Berger trying to get past one of the Scuderia Italias on the end of lap 18. He's gone spinning into the gravel trap, and he's going to lose quite a bit of time. I believe he's just boxed as well, as there goes Riccardo Patrese. We're also going to possibly be close to Gerhard Berger. Coming into the final sector, there is Berger, and we do actually get in front of him. So Berger's lost a whole heap of time there, and he is down. Well, he's not out, but he's certainly down, as there's Martin Brundle making the same mistake as the Ferrari driver did on the previous lap. And Martin Brundle will have to get reverse gear eventually. He'll have to find it. Oh, that's Jordan. That's Eddie Irvine also into the gravel. Let's see what happened with him. So as Martin Brundle was trying to get past one of the Scuderia Italias, Eddie Irvine makes the exact same mistake trying to get past the other one. As there we see on our onboard, I was completely bewildered by that, as we now make up 2 positions, and just a couple of laps ago we were in 12th place, but now we're up into 7th position, as now we see on lap 20 Damon Hill in for his first stop of the Grand Prix. The Williams driver is certainly looking good to possibly challenge his teammate in this Grand Prix, as well as Michael Schumacher, who will take the lead of the French Grand Prix. And it was only a matter of time until Gerhard Berger caught back up with us in his race. His car is a lot faster than the LaRousse, and as such he'll very quickly dispose of us. It wasn't a great exit out the exit of turn 2, and that doesn't need a second invitation for Gerhard Berger to make his way easily into 7th position. You can see the gap that is already pulled out ahead of us. Just the sheer prowess of Ferrari's engineering versus LaRousse. As there we see Rubens Barrichello making the same mistake again. He's hit the wall this time. Will he be as lucky to carry on in this race? No, he will not. His rear wing's been knocked off, and that will put pay to the end of Rubens Barrichello's race. A terrible weekend all in all for the Brazilian. His teammate Eddie Irvine, though, at the end of lap 22, into the box. We're possibly in the fight with Eddie Irvine. Despite his mistake, we were only a couple of seconds in front of him. And yeah, he could be in the battle with us by the end of this race. Lap 22, he could be on a 2-stop strategy, which is also what we're doing. We're in a couple of laps time anyway, as Michael Schumacher will also be into the box at the end of lap 23. Oh, and then he's lost his front wing? I don't know what exactly just happened there. A very strange crash indeed from Michael Schumacher. Fortunately, he's there to be served in the pit lane, but it's certainly going to cost him quite a few seconds in his stop as Alain Prost takes the lead. Jean Alesi will also benefit in taking the podium place. Oh, that's a brake failure, and Jean Alesi's out. And that is, I believe, maybe his 4th retirement in a row for Jean Alesi, as certainly will be frustrated at his home Grand Prix with that result. As we see that Alain Prost leads the way ahead of Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher, Marc Blundell and Riccardo Patrese. Gerhard Berger now runs in 6th position thanks to his teammate's retirement, and there we are in 7th place, lap 25. We're going to try and extend our pit stop as we've got the fuel to do so. Fabrizio Barbazza, though, will not partake any further in this French Grand Prix. He's made the same error. I'm not entirely sure whether it's an error or a failure, but either way, the Minardi driver, his terrible weekend will come to a close. And there's also doubts about his future in the sport. Fabrizio Barbazza, he's really struggled with his car. Oh, and that's a very close moment indeed at the start of lap 27 for us. You can see on the replay cameras how much the car stepped out there. Certifiably a Code Brown moment, as by the end of the same lap, lap 27, we're in for our first stop of the race. So yeah, it was a fairly good stint from us. We pitted from 7th position, it would have been. And a decent stop from the LaRousse boys, about an 8-second stop for us. And coming out of the pit lane, see if we're racing anyone on exit. That's our teammate Philippe Alliot we've come out just ahead of, and we've rejoined in 10th position. Philippe Alliot will not be happy with that, because he's lost out an entire pit stop's worth of time just within the opening 30 laps, as there we see on the start of lap 29 we get lapped by the Williams of... I'm not sure which Williams that is, but it's one of the Williams. Marc Blundell on lap 30 is into the box. That's going to release Riccardo Patrese, who was stuck behind the Ligier. They're on a fairly similar strategy, those two, so it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top. So in the Brit goes. Gerhard Berger will take his place. There he goes into 5th position. And Johnny Herbert will also get out ahead. Maybe. It'll be fairly close. There's the Ligier on the left-hand side of your picture. And Johnny Herbert does indeed rejoin ahead and in 6th place. Gerhard Berger on lap 33. He's in for his first stop of the race. He's on a possible one-stop strategy if he's gone that long on his first stint. Into the box goes Gerhard Berger. It's quite a shame that I didn't get the... that I don't have the recording, because it's not really that much happened on track, so it's more me just showing the pit strategies of this Grand Prix. But Gerhard Berger is certainly within our fight today after his mistake that he made. There is the Ligier, I think, of Martin Brundle that he's just come out ahead of. We're behind him by about 10 seconds, so if he pulls away from here, we've certainly not got any chance of battling the Austrian in this Grand Prix. As there we see on lap 35, Alain Prost is into the box. Damon Hill rounds the final corner and will promptly take the lead once again of the French Grand Prix. As we see there, Philippe Alliot just a couple of seconds behind Damon Hill. Alain Prost rejoins in 2nd place, just ahead there of Michael Schumacher. A very important rejoin position, as there we see Derek Warwick into the pits from the points, I believe he was in still, at exactly the halfway point of this Grand Prix. And as such, we will take his position and move up into 9th position. Philippe Alliot, will he also get past? I think he will. Yeah, he certainly will. As will Eddie Irvine, as there is Derek Warwick eventually coming out of the pits. And he is down in 12th position. He'll be up to 11th position though, as on the following lap, Philippe Alliot is in for his one and only stop in this Grand Prix. There's no, we see Luca Badoa also into the box at the end of lap 37, and that's another mistake, or error, whether it's on the team side, and Johnny Herbert's into the box for his second stop of the race. It's very weird on what on earth is happening with Senna, Barbazza and Badoa. Maybe an examination of the cars will let us know on that. As Johnny Herbert re-emerges just ahead of Gerhard Berger. So Johnny Herbert's having a spectacular race, as there we see we are about 5 seconds behind that battle. And on lap 39 we see the battling of Prost and a Ferrari ahead, Berger of course, and we spin round on the curb at the final corner. As such, Derek Warwick gets through on us as well. So as any chance of us beating Johnny Herbert in this race has possibly just gone up in smoke there. In all fairness, he's got one more stop to make, as do we, as we did get close there through turn 2 on trying to get past Derek Warwick, but the straight line prowess of the footwork prevailed. As now we head onto the start of lap 40, you can see how much pace we have over the footwork driver. We've got a much lighter fuel load at this current stage of the race, and as such we've got quite a bit of time to gain trying to get past the inside there of Derek Warwick, trying to force him into a mistake going wide. He did slightly go wide, and now we're tucked into the slipstream nicely, and we could possibly try and make a move. He's quite far ahead, but we're going for it anyway. That's a brilliant send down the inside. Got the car stopped exactly where I wanted it to, and we're up now into 10th position on board with myself. And it was a very, very, very late move. A very decisive move, no less. We do make up that position. It was a very, very nice overtake indeed. Looking again, he was so far forward, but he was just so slow with the turning that I thought, you know what, I'm just going to send it from this far back. And fortunately it worked. Derek Warwick didn't try and defend that one, and we are up into 10th place. Lap 41, and Eddie Irvine is in for his second and possibly his final stop in this Grand Prix. There's one of the Benettons also into the box. As Eddie Irvine boxes, he'll be put onto the jacks and he will rejoin in about 12th position. He'll be quite a bit behind us, but we obviously also still have to make a pit stop. Damon Hill in for his second stop of the race, and now it's up to Alain Prost to make a pit stops gap and more ahead of his teammate if he wants to come out ahead. As there's Martin Brundle, lap 46, and Martin Brundle's hit the pit entry wall just like his former teammate Michael Schumacher did. But he will not be as lucky. He will have to go round the circuit one more time. As now on lap 46, the same lap, you just saw Martin Brundle there in the barriers. He'll be able to carry on as we see ourselves rejoining back onto the racetrack, where in comparison to anyone else coming out onto the circuit, there's the Jordan there of Eddie Irvine, and he has got the jump on us going through the first couple of corners. Lap 47, you can see there that Martin Brundle has got it going, and he's going to be very slow in this next lap as he's trying to get it back to the pit lane, and we're taking no prisoners now. We need to get these overtakes done, because if we don't get past Eddie Irvine now, we won't I'm pretty sure we won't be able to at all, and that's a brilliant double overtake for us. Irvine boxed in behind as Fittipaldi there, tagged by a lapped Aguri Suzuki. I'm not entirely sure what the footwork driver is doing. It's not going to cost Christian Fittipaldi any places, as now we see on board with Alain Prost. He leads the way and he's built up a brilliant gap of about 40 seconds ahead of his teammate as he heads into the pits for his final lap. But he's crashed into the pit entry wall once again. That's another mistake for a driver at the front of the field, and it's going to be absolute misery for Alain Prost as his home Grand Prix. He has stacked any chance of taking the championship lead away from his teammate. He will eventually get going, but maybe his car's got a problem. I don't entirely know. He's getting it going eventually. And there's Damon Hill taking the lead of the French Grand Prix. Alain Prost still needs to make another stop, so what seemed like an almost certain victory for Prost is turning into an almost certain victory for Damon Hill, as now we see Derek Warwick into the box for his final stop of the race. The footwork driver's done a very good job indeed, certainly against his teammate Aguri Suzuki, who currently languishes pretty much in last place, I believe he's in, as we get ahead there of Derek Warwick through the pit lane. Ivan Capelli, though, will not proceed any further in this Grand Prix. Lap 54 and a gearbox failure for the Italian will put pay to a decent race he was having. He was battling Aguri Suzuki all throughout that race, as now we see Yuki Yavaleto. You can see the front left there just stoop down, and he is also out of this race. 3 races in a row that Yuki Yavaleto has had car failures late on. It's a very interesting battle, though, for 4th place between Blundell, Berger and Patrese. Looking down the inside, though, for Berger and Patrese, they've both clipped the gravel, and that's going to spin them both round. And now they're going to have a race on the rejoin. There goes Berger trying to get past Patrese. He does get back past Patrese. So the positions were as you were. And Blundell's been let off the hook there. He was put under immense pressure from behind, as now we see Damon Hill rounding the final couple of corners. And what has been a mistake-ridden race for most drivers, we'll see Damon Hill cross the line first to win the 1993 French Grand Prix. Meanwhile for us, Eddie Irvine's had a very good late race resurgence. We had dropped the Ulsterman, but he's certainly piling the pressure on now through the final couple of corners. But from here, he surely shouldn't be able to make a move. He's nowhere near close enough to make a send into the final corner, no. And we do hold on to our P8 finish, a very decent race, once again, at the team's home Grand Prix. Damon Hill wins at Prost's home turf. He wins 20 seconds ahead of Michael Schumacher. That mistake cost Alain Prost very dearly indeed, in which it should have been a very easy race for the Frenchman, results in a 3rd place finish. Mark Blundell finishes 4th ahead of Gerhard Berger and Riccardo Patrese, who complete the points. Johnny Herbert and myself just miss out, with Eddie Irvine and Derek Warwick completing the top 10. Philippe Alliot, a decent result from him, finishes in 11th ahead of the Ligier of Martin Brundle, who had a similar incident to Alain Prost. Alessandro Zanardi, Christian Fittipaldi, Michael Andretti and Aguri Suzuki, who got a 10-second penalty for that collision with Christian Fittipaldi, complete those who finished. 16 finished, 10 retired, including Yuki Yavaleto with that suspension problem. Ivan Capelli and Luca Badoa, both Scuderia Italia's, out of the race. Fabrizio Barbazza in the Minardi, as well as Sean Lacey at his home Grand Prix. Rubens Barrichello made that mistake into the 2nd fast chicane, and he crashed out of the race. Ayrton Senna has been labelled as brakes problem, while everyone else who crashed into the pit entry wall has been given as a crash. So maybe there was oil on the circuit following Ayrton Senna's exits from the race. Andrea De Cesaris and Ukio Katayama came together at the hairpin. Meanwhile, Carl Wendlinger stalled with a clutch problem. What does this mean then for the Drivers' Championship? It means that Damon Hill now moves 8 points clear of his teammate Alain Prost. Ayrton Senna still in 3rd, but only on half the amount of points as the man 2nd place in the championship. Michael Schumacher has now matched the Brazilian's points tally for the season so far at the halfway point of the season. Gerhard Berger, Mark Blundell and Riccardo Patrese all scoring points. Jean Lacey still without any points since Donington Park, nor is Rubens Barrichello. Meanwhile for us, we remain in 15th place in the championship, and Philippe Alliot remains in 17th. In the Constructors, Williams are looking forward to back-to-back Constructors titles. They now are ahead of Benetton, who move up to 2nd place by 69 points. McLaren's strong start to the season is certainly becoming undone now. They move down to 3rd place in the Constructors, 1 point behind Benetton and a whole 70 behind Williams. They haven't scored any points in the past 3 rounds, and they'll certainly need to get their act together if they want to get 2nd in the Constructors, never mind winning it. Ferrari, Ligier and Jordan complete the top 6, with Lotus, Sauber, LaRousse and Minardi remaining those as the teams who have scored points. Footwork, Tyrrell and Scuderia Italia all yet to score. Thank you for watching the French Grand Prix. I know it was a bit of a strange video without the actual recording of the video being there, but I hoped you enjoyed this workshop version of the French Grand Prix, I guess. The next Grand Prix is our home Grand Prix, the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. I hope you can join me there next week. That's going to be all from me in today's video, and goodbye.